it's touched the human lips, I can promise you, as much as that's hard to swallow. Well, Florida set the table, California set the table, and now it's going across. Why? Potable water is becoming more and more in demand. We're using potable water in our sewer plant. Every toilet has potable water in it. Granted, we wouldn't drink from it, but it doesn't change the fact that we're using our potable water the wrong way. So DEQ said, look, it's better for us to move the cities together under one roof. And this is how it works. So for example, you have a pond. As your pond fills up, okay, just so you know, look, just bear with me, right? I can barely draw stick figures. Just work with me a second, all right? As an operator, and I'm gonna tell you what, I was a 4 operator, which means I operate reuse plants. That means every drop of water has to be usable on a golf course, neutral grounds, and it gets a little touch, but it's okay. On a pond, whenever you enter a pond, and it's usually shaped like this, it's usually like a big serpentine, like something like this. You don't see it from the air, but that's about how it looks. So what happens is, it's like this. Okay, so what happens is it comes in, and this is where the sewage enters. So all these houses across your subdivision, all the houses in a meet, they enter subdivision, and you pump out of your house. It goes to the head of the subdivision. There's usually a lift station. I don't know how many you may have in town, but you may have about, I don't know, 20 or 30, I don't know. And then it gets there, and then they pump it. And then they pump it across town until they get to this. What happens is, our waste in our bodies is very dense. So when it gets real slow, it begins to settle. And clear water stays on the top. Well, what happens is you and I were looking at a side view of this. As water would come in, the sewage would start to fill up. And pretty soon, it gets higher and higher and higher. And pretty soon, this whole snake fills up. Even though the pond may look like this from above, it's got channels inside to move it. So that way it doesn't short circuit and get from one end to the other. Well, that works great for a while, but when it gets to this river, the permit that you're putting out there is on you. So here's how it works with DEQ. You bust that permit, they're gonna charge you some $7,500 a day. That's the state fine. And then they're gonna probably double it for the federal boards. They're kind of forcing you to kind of pick your head up and say, you just can't use what we always did. And so now the answer is mechanical plants. And if you've ever been to a mechanical sewer plant, it looks like a big racetrack is what it looks like. It's oval, a dog track. This is exactly what it looks like. And the reason they make them, they may be 100 foot long, 20 foot wide, 50 foot deep. And the reason they use them is they can handle more of the loads that comes. Because this is what happens, and whether you see it or not, I'm just talking to you, so I want you to get to, so it's not this box that just sits out there. It works, it's real simple. When waste leaves our body, it leaves it at 98.6. It stays about 60 degrees all the way to the plant. Everything lives in the plant. Every virus, everything lives in a plant, because 60 degrees is enough for it to continue to grow. If you and I were sitting at this head of this plant in the middle of a football game at halftime, you and I would know it's halftime, because everybody just went to the restroom, and it's mostly beer coming in. I'm just being honest. That's just how it works. That means your ammonia is high. That means your oxygen level is going to be neither high. If it's a Friday or Saturday night and you and I are standing right there, please apologize for the words I'm about to use, for I know no others to use. I can tell you it's a Friday night because I got more contraceptives and things coming in you can shake a stick at. I can tell you if it's Saturday because I got syringes and needles and everything else coming down the world. That's what gets to your sewer plant, because everybody flushes. Well, that problem is still on you, and it still ends up in your pond. Even though it may look like a big thing, underneath it, it's almost like a big snake. Well, what DEQ is saying is, there's 5 cities that have those ponds. They know that we're gonna have to make it more stringent. So instead of 30 parts per million, which is probably what you're dealing with right here, 30 parts per million is that if I took a toilet bowl, I'll take that back. If I take a 1,000,000-gallon tank and I threw 30 marbles in, that's your permit level. They're saying it's going to go to 5. You and I aren't going to make 5 coming out of that pond, because when it fills up, then it's going to go over 100. Because that's just the nature of the beast. What they're suggesting, and I gotta tell you, they are right. He's saying is, look, if I can, in his words, not mine, if I can take all 5 cities or 6 cities up and down here, from Tickfall to you, and we all pump it to one big plant and they meet, it's a better answer for us. And I gotta tell you, it works. It's a real simple world. So this is how a pump station works in our world. In our world, it's just a big pump. And then underneath the ground is a big holding tank. And it does this all the way across town. So let's just take it along, say it's just along the railroad, all the way down. They build a pump station, and when it gets full, they build another pump station, and they pump it all the way to Amite. They're gonna go through Tangipahoa, they're gonna go through Roseland, and they're gonna go all the way. And as a result of it, then it gets to where their plant is. There's a float in the bottom of these, and when it fills up, then they pump it, and they pump it. The reason they're doing this is because they don't want to run into what's going on in Hammond. If you ever been to Hammond, Louisiana, and you drive through, sometimes, man, you catch a smell, wow, right? That means it's turned septic, which means it's sitting too long in your ditch, in your pond. When you and I have gas, it's septic. That's why we smell what we smell. Once it turns septic, the biology that's in it no longer eat it. Of all the things God created in the world and gets no credit for, there are bugs that actually break sewage down. You do it in your septic tank. That red X you get, that's bugs. You want your bugs to grow better, do better? Use dog food. I didn't tell you that because that means you're not going to be buying their product, but it's just the same thing. What I'm trying to tell you is, you're going to pump this, instead of your hand, you're going to pump it all the way, and you're going to send it to Amite. And they're going to put a meter on yours, so they know how much flow you're sending to them. And like I told Mayor Daniels, to the people of Kentwood, you got to leave them enough margin so that they can pay their bills and do what they need to do and end up with extra income. He's on board. He gets it because it's getting to him too. And what's going to happen is they went to DEQ and asked them for money for this whole distribution line, all the way to Amite, for your city, for Tangipahoa, for Roseland, for on the other side, Independence and Tickfall. Any city can opt out. You decide that you want to stick with what you got, then the pump station just goes, it just doesn't come this far down. It stops at the next person. And the reason I'm coming to talk to you is because at some point, you're going to have to you're going to have to get rid of this. And it's just not worth the fight because you still got to do it DEQ. You still got the maintenance issues. You still got all the issues of running your own plant. It's better, with all due respect, to just send it to somebody else. You pay them for the privilege, sure, but you still have enough money because otherwise it doesn't do you any good either. If you're just a break even at best, then why should we do this? You got to get this animal off your back. So does Tangipahoa, so does Roseland, so does Independence and Tickfall. 4 out of the 5 or 5 out of the 6 all have ponds. And what they're realizing is that if the government, and I got to give them their due, if DEQ is going to come in, they're going to build this. That's not on you. They're going to help build that plant because nobody can absorb the debt. Because to be honest with you, we'll be paying the finance charges for our children's age. That's not a win for anybody. So what they're trying to do is go get all the grants to get it built to handle all 5 cities. You're talking almost 5 million gallons a day of sewage, right? And I got to tell you, if your city is ever getting to a point where you want to grow it, if your sewer plant can't grow with it, you're going to get jammed because say somebody wants to build a subdivision, a restaurant wants to come in. You want them to tie in to your system because you want to invoice for it. You want to get them to pay for it. You're going to have limited capacity up here. At some point, you're going to have to expand. Now you picked up debt. Now you did it on your own. And what I'm asking you to do is just pick your head up a little bit. I talked with the mayor at the meeting. Mayor Daniels asked me to come talk to people because I've been on both sides. I've never been an alderman or a mayor for sure, but I've been working for the cities to help them fix their sewer problems. Look, you probably have an I&I problem here, do you not, Mayor? That's an inflow problem. In other words, the pipes that are down in the very bottom, here's the street level, here's the sewer lid. It goes down and there's a pipe that's down here that catches the sewer and brings it all in. Well, I can tell you that pipe's been down there for 1,000 years. I bet you half that pipe ain't even there. Pretty soon it's just a cave. You can be driving down the road and what you're gonna find out is your blacktop's gonna start to dip. That's because this pipe started to dip, there's nothing there. Now we got even bigger problems. You wanna have money to fix that? Then you need to make sure that this is not your problem, it's somebody else's, and that there's enough margin on your bills so that you can go in and start sleeving them. You need to start using your money for other things than taking care of building another sewer plant, that's what I'm driving at, right? And allow the administration that's in the mansion now to help us get there doing that. And so I came to talk to you about it because, look, I don't have no skin in this game. I don't want any skin in the game. I might get a commission check. Ain't got nothing to do with nothing. Do I know the guys that are helping build it? You bet I do. And those are the guys that I would pick to go build it. Those are the equipment pieces that I would use. But like I told Mayor Daniels, that's between you and them. Does my brother have part of it? Yeah, he does. And I told him, if you don't like him, get rid of it. But I can tell you at the end of the day, that regional plant is the answer. And if somebody's gonna foot the bill, then it's even better for you and I. Because this problem is gonna come to us whether we want it to or not. And I guess so I came to talk to you to tell you, look, it's a good solution. And like anything else in the world, they're gonna build what they call ditches, just so you understand the rest of the technology. They're gonna build what they call racetracks. And so instead of building this up here, they're gonna take that out. And for how big is y'all's pond, you know? If you had a ballpark, is it a couple acres? I don't know, I'm just asking.
Yeah, it's about a 3-acre pond.
How much?
About a 3 acre, 2
Oh,
acres.
2 acres, okay. In your pond, 2 or 3 acres, let's just say what it is, say that's 3 acres. They're gonna come in and only use about 75% of it, and they're gonna build what they call the headworks. I'm just gonna let you know. This is grit, and I'm gonna walk you through it just so you understand it. Then there comes what they call a splitter, so that it directs the flow, and there's 3 ditches. Then they're gonna come back and they're gonna take the water from these 3 ditches and run it through a sandbox. They're gonna chlorinate it. And then they're gonna go to the river, or they're gonna reuse it. And so let me tell you what a headworks is. Everybody flushes everything down the toilet. They got 2 screens. One stops wheelbarrows and 2x4s. You'd be surprised what people throw down in the ditches you gotta deal with. If you ever talk to your operator, they'll tell you. Then there's another screen that's so small that catches contraceptives, needles, syringes, because bugs can't break it down. And there's a bug there's 2 types of bugs. One of them are what they call single cell organisms. Their job is they actually break the waste down. And so after about 20 days old, they're old. You gotta be able to move them out. So they build these ditches, and so they'll go through, so it goes through the headworks, it gets to grit. All this pipe dirt that you picked up in your thing ends up in your ditch. So they gotta take the grit out. So the bugs only have sewage to eat. That's what they do. One ditch will handle just this part, probably Kitwood and Rosen and whatever. The next ditch will probably handle a meat, and the next ditch on the other end will probably handle the others. So that no matter what happens, your flow always goes through. So they can move it to what ditch they want. And then at the end of the day, the water runs through a sandbox, which will be about the size of this building. So that the water that goes out always meets permit. I guarantee you, if you and I stood here, it would look pretty ugly coming in. If you and I walked 2 acres, maybe 1.5 acres, we got to chlorine, it would look like a swimming pool. Then they'll take the chlorine out, and then they discharge it. And that's where they're going with it. And what they're trying to build is just a regional plant. And I came to you today just to tell you so that y'all can start talking about it amongst yourselves. And the mayor has my cell number. Like I said, I don't have a nickel in this game. I just know it's the best answer. Because I work with ponds, and I work with ditches, and I work with what everybody's got. And I can just tell you, for your city to grow, you need to kind of get this animal off your back and make sure there's enough margin in your bills to do the things that you need to do instead of taking care of the maintenance issues on the pond. Is that fair enough?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Can you tell them about the time frame?
Yeah. In August, this is how it works. The administration knows that the only way to get money to cities is through grants loans, low interest loans, and then federal monies. Come August, we're gonna be going with Mayor Daniels to make a presentation to get the money. I can tell you what they're looking for. They're looking for about $50 million. This is it's big, okay? But it's only, I'll be honest with you, it's only gonna be about 3 acres. It's gonna be about the size of your entire pond when they're building over there. But it's a reuse plan. So they're gonna be asking for the whole thing. They'll go to one group, talk to money, they may get 5 or 10 or 15 from this group. That's just how it works. The federal boys talk to them, the state boys, but everybody goes through the state. So whoever the secretary is controls. And it's fortunate enough that he's very friendly to this idea because it was his, and he's right. So we're actually, and look, we can't afford debt on our end of the world either, y'all. Right? We can't be in debt several $1 million. We couldn't pay the interest on the number. What they're trying to do by August is get all the paperwork done. What we need from you is for y'all to think about it. In about a week's time or so, we're gonna be meeting back in a meeting. We need a cooperative agreement that all these cities, with all things being equal, we'd like to be part of this. So that when we submit to DEQ and the federal boys, they say, okay, so these are the cities then, this is the dollar amount you're looking for. So what the mayor's gonna be looking for is for y'all to decide whether this is something you wanna be part of. Look, you can always opt out. The fact of the matter is they need to know how big is the plant, because if you drop out and another drops out, well, the plant just gets smaller. We don't need 50, you may need 20, you may need 15, 30. But they need to know whether or not this is something. So come August, so sometime in July, they're gonna be looking for an answer, like, are you in? So and then probably the next 2 weeks, Mayor, I think they're trying to have another meeting down there. They kinda need to know, how do you feel about this? To me, for you, and if I was sitting in your shoes, this is a no-brainer. As long as I'm not picking up a debt, and that pump station's being bought by somebody else and paid for, and they're gonna maintain it, and all I gotta do is make sure I maintain the subdivisions, which you do already, and get the sewer to them, I'm good with it. And so, my suggestion to you is, I think they're shooting you straight. I do. I wouldn't be here otherwise. How you feel, and your friendship means more to me. Money's not in my life anymore. Okay? It's the right thing. Yes, ma'am.
Tell them about the grant writers that will be
Okay.
already there.
Right, there's grant writers that came with us. Not everybody can come up with $50 million, so there'll be one pile that'll give you about 15 million. There'll be another group that can maybe come up with 20 or 30, and then there'll be another group. Well, it's like anything else, it's all predicated on relationships. And the guys that you saw at that meeting have the relationships with the powers to be. Because they're the ones, to be honest with you, you don't walk into a meeting and the head of the secretary, who's the head of everything, says, I think we need to build a regional plan in your neighborhood, and I think we need to get those cities involved. He didn't do that if he didn't think this was something he wanted to do and that the money was available. But you gotta still go through the channels, you still gotta jump through hoops. Y'all do that every day in your businesses and your work. And that's what they're looking to do come August, but they need to know probably within the next couple of weeks whether this is something you wanna do. If they do, they'll put a cooperative agreement that everybody's on the same page, so DEQ knows how big a regional plant will this be. I know I'm throwing a lot at you, man, like drinking from a fire hose, I get you, right? But it was important to come talk to you about it. I just don't think you need to go this alone. That's just me, right?
You want to entertain any questions?
Yeah, do you have any questions? You probably learned more about sewer than you ever cared to know.
What is the time frame? If we say yes in August, when do we expect to flush our toilets and have it go there?
Okay, ooh. I'll tell you this, it'll still go to your pond, right? Okay, and so it would probably, just being honest, they're gonna probably try to build them both at the same time, which is the distribution line, which is this, all the way to Amy, while they're building this. There's a term they use called shovel ready. You hear shovel ready, you can break ground tomorrow, your money comes faster. And so what they're trying to do is put the paperwork together, get the engineer, the people that can build these on board. They're trying to get the guy that can build a plant on board and all the equipment, so they'll be putting the specs. So I would tell you, probably within 2 years, 2.5 years, womb to tomb, that would be my guess. Okay, but we also live in a world now, you can't order a pencil without waiting 6 months, right? That's why they want to jump on it now, right? They want to be first in the food chain. So my suggestion to you is, about 2.5 years, you're gonna start seeing, I mean, you're gonna see things up and running. I would say that might be a safe bet.
And how would it affect our day-to-day currently, or would it impact our day-to-day currently at all?
No, you would, as long, you're flushing it, you'll never notice a difference.
Thank you.
And I'll be honest with you, you could live next door, I wouldn't live next door to a pond, okay? Is it aerated?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And just so you know, this is how my world got started 30 years ago. There's a gentleman that owned a subdivision, and an average lot was anywhere from $300,000 to $400,000, upwards to $1 million. Before you build one slab in Florida, you gotta build the entire sewer plant, womb to tomb. He made it look like the front of a house, so you could never tell. You could live next door, and you're not gonna smell a thing. Everybody made fun of him. Man, who gives up a lot for a sewer plant? Okay, well, let's see how unintelligent he is. Next thing you know, they built the subdivision. The subdivision next to him got built. They didn't want to give up, so they pumped it to him. The next subdivision didn't want to pump it, so they pumped it to him. You pay to send it to him, just like you pay City Hall. He cleans the water up, and in Florida, they send it back to you for you to use on your yard and to wash your car. You pay twice for the same amount of money. His name was Hugh Kohlraus. He bought the Tampa Bay Bucks about 2 years after I met him. So what I'm telling you is he couldn't have got away with it if the smell was absolutely zero. So it's a great answer for us, right? So does that, I didn't mean to be long-winded, does that help? Or did I make it more confusing for
No,
you?
no, if you say it should be done in 2.5 years, considering it's a government thing, it should be 4 or 5.
Right, so as soon as they say, the money's here, you go. So will it take you probably 6 months to put everything together to get in front of the right people? Yeah. Once they say go, it's gonna take you about 2.5 years. But here's the best part. DEQ's not gonna be coming to you if your pond starts going out of permit, because you are fixing the problem. So in other words, you get an industry, let's say you get you got somebody that wants to come in here, whether it's a chicken person or whatever. Let's be honest with you, industry will come, you wanna be able to take them online, because you want the income. And it gives you a better chance to do that as well. Right, it's a good answer. Yes, ma'am, you had raised your hand.
Yes, the meeting is coming up, is it open to the public, and where will it be held?
It's gonna be held in a Meet City Hall.
Okay.
I wish I could tell you the date, but I don't know that. But I'm sure you could, yeah.
June 9th at 5 p.m.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Please come notwithstanding, if they let me in, I mean, yeah.
How is this gonna travel from here to A-B in a big pipe, or hopefully something about a ditch?
Oh, no, it's all in a pipe.
It'll be a
It's all
big pipe.
below, this container, this is all ground right here. This pipe is underneath the ground. You don't see it. Yes, sir.
Well, Mark, a couple of questions, and money drives everything.
No, I did, that's so true.
So, the town of Kentwood, it sounds like a wonderful solution. The town of Kentwood signs up, let's say, and we're good to go, and they go get the money, and from what I'm hearing, they will arrange for all of the money necessary to build the system.
Mhm.
Both the conveyance lines, the pump stations, and the plant once it gets down to a meet.
That's correct.
And in exchange for that, and like I said, there'd be a meter showing how much sewage comes from the town of Kentwood.
How much goes to the next one, the next one, the next one, that's right.
And so there would be a bill
Mhm.
each month to the town of Kentwood. Has anybody done any projections on comparing what the average citizen in Kentwood today pays versus what they're going to pay if this comes online?
They've gotta do that to prove to EPA it's feasible. Otherwise, all they did was bankrupt you. And what would be the point then? But the price per person, regardless if you go this way or not, you're gonna have to update that pond. So your sewer user fee is gonna go up whether you want it to or not. Right?
You and I are in lockstep agreement on that one.
Yeah.
But I was just trying to find out the magnitude, the zip code on what the increase is.
Oh, I don't know, but I tell you what, they're gonna have to get you that, because they need to know that. Because they need to know, is there any money left for us to take care of our streets and our issues? Like I told them, what good does it do if we jam everybody up? And Daniels gets it. He said, absolutely. He said, cause I live off of that. He said, I got bills to pay.
Do you know,
And let me go one step further. This is why it's so important there's no debt service. If there's debt service, I'll be honest with you, I don't think we can handle it.
right,
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
and I appreciate your answer. Second question, we lived in Florida for 40 years.
Oh, wow.
We're very, in fact, I'm a Tampa Bay Buccaneer season ticket holder.
Okay, man, I got you.
So the long and short of it, we're used to the water treatment plants there and reusable water.
Mhm.
And they, like you said, you can sign up and the town has lines of water that goes back out
Right,
and you put it in your sprinkler system
right.
and you, like you said, you irrigate your lawns.
Mhm.
As I understand your presentation, the water is not, the discharge is not gonna go to any river. It's all gonna be reusable.
If they don't, we have the option, because Louisiana's not a reuse state, so they can just dump to the river, okay, because they got a discharge. But if they have somebody that would like to purchase it, then they can go back out and sell it. But like anything else, you gotta have the means to get it back to them, right? Somebody's gonna have to pay for it.
That was my question. That's where I'm going. So we got a line that's gonna take it down to me.
Right?
And are they going to simultaneously build reusable lines, bringing it back up?
I would probably tell you, not in the dollar amount that they threw on the table, no. But I do believe that that's gonna have to come, because we've gotta stop using our potable water for non-potable things. So do I think there might be a phase two? Because once you put this pipe system in, it would be worth it to you to put another pipe in there just to get it back to you in case we need it.
All right, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Because there might be usage up here.
Now, I explained to the mayor, it would be in your best interest, this is Mayor Daniels, that in the city, that when we start putting pump stations in, that you run a line back throughout the city and that we can just come off of it. If we need to start going into subdivisions or whatever, you may want to start looking that way, because it's a good answer, right? And then also, they only charge you maybe 10 cents on the dollar for the reuse water.
There's not much sprinkler water in Cuba, I can tell you. Very little now.
Okay, well, it depends on what you want. Some people may use it, everybody's different, right? Some people may use it to wash their trucks, some people may use it for a golf course, some people may do it to wash. It's just cheaper to use than potable water.
There's only one golf course up there, and the owner's in this building, so he can talk to people.
Okay, well, I'm just,
He might be glad to use it, I don't know.
well, I mean, let's put it this way, it's a better answer even if you don't reuse it, right?
Father Mark, one last question. Do you believe that any financial analysis will be available before the town of Kentwood has to say whether we're opting in or not?
I think the cooperative agreement is just to say, man, so we can size the plant, and this is something, all things being equal, I think they're gonna have to come back and tell you, because you need to know where you're biting off. But they need to know that at least this is something that you're in, because nobody, let's be honest, nobody's gonna come back to the mayor or to you, that would be foolhardy, to say, oh, well, you decided you're in, and the bill's more than what you're gonna pay. Well, I can just stick with what I've got and roll the dice.
And you already said you can opt out of it.
Yeah, then you just opt there, you say, man, look, we can't afford that.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
What's the estimated life of this system? We know our pond's limited. We're getting towards the end of the life of it.
Yeah, it's a concrete plant. In other words, when I say like a dog track, that means the walls are concrete, the floor is concrete, and it's an aerator. So, man, the only thing that goes out is the moving parts, it's the bearings. It's a pump that goes out anywhere, but the plant itself, I tell you what's gonna happen is they're gonna go to Hammond, and they're gonna end up doing the same thing down there because they have problems. They're just gonna add more ditches, because ditches are around forever, right? So the life of it is the life of concrete.
I mean, the present sewer system we got now is basically built in the 30s, the WPA days. It's held up, but you know, it still has a life. It's about gone.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what's gonna eventually break our back is the pipes that get from your home to that sewer plant are made of clay.
Yeah.
And they're not there anymore. You gotta come in and line it.
That's our biggest challenge probably right now, more than the pond.
Yeah, and let me tell you let me tell you, you gotta have enough money in your monthly to go back and start sleeving those things. Now look, it's gonna take a while to sleeve it all, but somebody gotta start somewhere. right? Because otherwise you're paying for rainwater to go through, right? We gotta fix it, otherwise you can have more
A lot of
canyons.
it's not getting to the pond.
Huh?
A lot of it's not getting to the pond.
Oh, yeah, that's right, you're washing out under your roads, that's right, that's right.
Too, so it's gonna go up.
So with this new system, it's gonna clear up waterways around here, like our rivers and all,
Oh,
be
yeah,
visible again?
yeah. Night and day, night and day. I guarantee you, the guy, me and you were standing there looking at it, you'd swear it was a swimming pool, so would I. That's how clean it is. When it goes in that river, man, it's clean. So what happens? Man, the environment grows, the fish grow, it's a better world,
The
right?
state don't give any access to the river, you can't go to the river, blocked off.
Okay, I can't, man.
Now, because this is not using it.
Yeah, right, no, it's right, no, it's just, it's a better answer, it just really is, right? Because if you were at the if you were standing back at that pond where we were at, you probably, if we just moved the water away, you'd see sewage mounds all built up, all back up in there.
I heard back there.
Okay, yeah, you got it, right, yeah.
Any more questions?
That's enough sewer talk for a day, yeah, I don't blame you, man, I get it.
You got a bunch of notes. We appreciate it.
Oh, man, look, it's all good, I'm just wanna tell you, it's y'all's decision, but at the end of the day, I got to meet the mayor the other day, I got to meet Mayor Daniels, right, and, just because of my prior life, I said, look, it's a good thought, so, okay?
We appreciate you, thank you.
Man, thank you. All right, if you can't sleep tonight, don't blame me. Thank y'all.
All right.
Thank y'all, have a good one.
Item 4.
Discuss Lee Wheeler Jr. property cleanup plans.
Mr. Bruce, can you give us an update on that?
Sure can. We had scheduled that family to be here tonight to tell us what they were gonna do, or for us to condemn it and do something with it ourselves. We got a communication from Bradley Stevens, who's their attorney now, and what he basically told me was that they had insurance on this house, but that sometime right before the hurricane, their insurance got canceled, and they were not aware of it, so they didn't have insurance. But apparently the insurance company sent the notice of the cancellation to the wrong address, so they didn't get notice that it had been canceled, or that it was about to be canceled. So they're now arguing with the insurance company over that. What they're going to do, they do not know yet. They're probably gonna have to sue the insurance company. And the attorney that I talked to said he does not handle that kind of cases, so they're gonna have to find another attorney. I told him to let them know that we need to know something definite by the middle of June. And by then, they at least need to clean up the yard around it. It's a jungle there. And if they had not at least done that and given us an idea by then, that we would bring them back here at the July meeting.
Thank you. Item 5.
Kiana Wilson and Tamika's going to be on FaceTime with us, Tamika Dickerson, to discuss the SLTC Southeastern Louisiana Technical College.
I don't know how much I'm supposed to say, but I'm Kiana Wilson, and I'm the 6th Assistant Director of the Southeastern Louisiana Technical College that my sister's trying to get in Kentwood. I was prepared to talk, but they're gonna have it on Facebook, so if you have any questions, you can relate to her.
You wanna bring it up here, Donisha, so they can see which way it is.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing fine, how are you?
I'm doing fine. We can hear you a little. Can you kind of tell us what you need from us, or what your plans are for your technical college?
Well, my main goal is to keep it in Kentwood, to kind of help strengthen the communities back up and give any way I can. We mentioned the trade school a
The old nursing home property?
Yes.
So you want to look at leasing some of the rooms there?
Yes, sir.
About how many?
Well, we offer testing, so we would like a classroom or two and a testing area. And we also do proctoring for online students also. So a full testing area, maybe 2 full classrooms and office space.
And when you say office space, is that 1 room, 2 rooms?
Maybe 2 to 3.
So that's a total of 5 rooms so far.
Yes, the third room would be a lounging area where the secretary or the administrator is helping enrolling the students into the college. And of course, we're gonna need an area for financial, and we need all that to be, the financial room definitely have to be secure, so it wouldn't be easy access, it would have a patio, and then of course, it would be offices.
So the way is, we have a east wing, we have a west wing, and then going north, no,
It runs north and south.
right, north and south. That's that, that's gonna be the,
Mayor Bates, how many rooms do we have available?
The only one that's actually occupying it right now.
Is
and
Oceans,
that's
right, on the other side?
Oceans is occupying maybe 1 or 2 rooms at the very front of that north end hall. So the rest of the east and west wing are available.
Okay, so that's approximately,
It's a total of about, 40-something rooms there.
okay.
cause you got probably like 10 rooms on each side.
If we were to have multiple tenants there, would there be like a main hub entrance? How would that work with managing multiple people in that one spot? Because I know there's the round entrance, the rotunda. Is there another point of entry or point of egress in the building?
Yes. You have on the east wing, there's a door that comes right out of the parking lot. On the south, the west end, there's a door that comes in that area too.
Okay.
Question, so, east or west, if Ms. Dickerson, we go along with this, say, takes the west wing, will we build a partition so the, east wing will be available?
Yes.
There will be a petition there,
I mean, that is the preliminary thoughts that I've had, if we allow them to get some rooms wherever they're accessed. Now, we still have to allow them access to restrooms, so we have to make sure they have availability for that, but we would have a door closed off so they can only use the amount of rooms that they've asked for.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Dickerson from the audience? Okay.
Yeah, I have one. This technical school, is it certain, training that they should offer, certain training, maybe like welding or whatever?
Yeah, she came to us before, and I think at that time it was under the name LaKim. Can you kind of give us an idea of what kind of certifications and programs you're going to offer?
Okay, we're gonna start off with, a few ocean classes, pipe fitting, carpentry. We're gonna get the welding in there, that's definitely something I wanna do. The CDL program, I wanna do all of that, and we're able to do that there in Kentwood. The certifications are the same certifications that you will get from the trade school in Greensburg and, Baton Rouge Community College. I noticed they giving the same certification out. They go through NCCER, which is also what the
The high schools.
the high school is using. So we give out the same certification, we just give it
Yes, one more question.
How does one weld inside what used to be a nursing home? How does one prepare for construction certification in what used to be a nursing home?
Okay, well, inside would only be the classroom set. For them to do welding, we have to have, a building on the outside, of course, and to set up like a maintenance area, if you will, a shop, a maintenance shop. They don't necessarily have to get the finishing part of the training from me. The way I'm set up, I also sponsor other companies. So if we provide the welding inside of Kenwood Manor, let's say we have a welding shop right there in Kenwood that's private, but they offer services to the public, I can certify them where they can go to them and they can make the money for as signing off on whether or not they have the skills to get their certification.
So the location of the hands-on welding training itself won't be done on site or at the OW Dillon location. It'll be done like at a private business.
Yes, at a private end. Also, the way NCCR is set up, if they actively or currently have a job and they're training with me and it's welding, the majority, and I do mean the majority, all of the companies like the industrial industry, for the refineries, all of them are sponsors for the local schools. So those companies are able to sign off on their hands-on also. So they won't be limited to where they can get their hands on.
Okay, so is the use of private enterprise in the instruction of students at your institution something that you all do just in the beginning stages of it, or are there plans to make an on-site welding location at the OW Dillon property when you all get that fleshed out?
Okay, well, we can do this at the beginning, and wherever we decide to actually set up and do the welding, I'm sure it won't be at the Kenwood Manor site. So, we can definitely, we already have a location that's set up where the instructor come in, and actually it's portable. It's portable. So there's a trailer and he has the whole welding set up on the back of the trailer. So it's a mobile training. So he can literally come and set up right in your yard.
Okay.
There will be some modifications had to be made to the building. Will they be doing that, or we're doing it, or?
The only modifications that would be made would be that partition.
That's all?
Yeah.
So if you wanna put a welding shop on the grounds, y'all.
That's what she was saying, they would not put one
Oh, it
on
won't
the
be-
ground, they
okay.
would do, it just be portable, or the one that they drive in, or she's trying to see about getting a shop at OW
Oh.
Dillon. Yes, ma'am.
The construction for a partition, is that something she would bear the cost or the town would bear the cost? And who would have the insurance would she be required to have her own insurance on the property?
Mhm.
Or would we continue to pay for I don't know how that would work.
She would be required to have her insurance, and the partition, she would assume that cost because that is a modification to the building. Same thing with Oceans, when they wanted to make some modifications, they assumed the cost.
Understood.
Ma'am,
Yes.
I do currently have insurance wherever I go and set up. That is one of the stipulations for me to maintain my license in the state. So I have to have it, I can
Item number 6.
Authorize mayor to negotiate contract for lease of a portion of nursing home, including advertisement for Tamika Dickerson.
So moved.
It's been moved by Councilman Hookman, second by Councilwoman Winters, to authorize the mayor to negotiate a lease with Mr. Mika Dickerson. Any questions?
Will we have any input, or would you share with us whatever we do?
I'll
as far
share
as
with
the
you.
prices?
It'll actually come back next meeting.
Right, I have to come back to you and present it to you. Any more questions?
This is a yearly lease.
We'll negotiate that also.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a negotiation
Negotiation.
right
Okay.
now. We're not voting on it. We just negotiate.
Give me the power
Right.
to negotiate.
Yeah.
Any more questions? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Item number 7.
Irma Gordon to discuss debris in town and abandoned property locations.
Hey, I'm sick, if you don't mind, but thank you, Mayor, for, council for letting me speak tonight. Didn't do the debris, but I can talk about the debris. But the abandoned properties around town, as we all know, it's like getting out of hand, getting out of control. Some of these properties are in real bad condition, and they're getting worse, and I see some properties, some new properties that have become abandoned, and then now they are growing up, so we get more and more of these abandoned properties in around town. And I think we just need to try to get a start on this and try to get a grip on it before it just get totally out of control. Old homes, people are leaving this, letting them grow up, and a lot of these homes are right next to other people's homes who's trying to keep them up real good, you know what I'm saying? So we need to try to work on this because it's not fair. We all know it's not fair, it's not right, and I know it's a process. It is a process, but somebody gotta take the authority to try to get this process started so we can try to get a grip on this. And I know we have laws in the book, and we working with our attorney here who can inform these property owners to do what they need to do and send them the laws that we have in the book, copies of the laws that we have in the book, and let them know their time frame and everything. So, you know, we gotta make sure they understand what they need to do to clean up their properties. You know, I'm gonna use my community, for example. There's a home right there, right on the street above you. I could walk on my car porch and just look at it. It's all grown up, and then there's a whole big old huge pile of limbs, debris from the storm that's at the road that had all grown up, hadn't been picked up, and you know, and around town I do see some limbs and things like that. So we gotta get a grip on this so our town can look better, you know, and properties can look better. Because I know the home in my community, there's 2 properties, 2 residents on each side who does a good job keeping it up. But right in the middle is that big old house that's all grown up, and big old huge pile of limbs that is all grown up. Huge pile. So that's, and I had came before the board once before on this, and again, I'm gonna say, it's a process. It's a process, and you have to work with the attorney, but if you don't start the process, you know, it's gonna get deeper and deeper in this, and in our town, it's gonna look worse. Thank you.
Thank you, and we also put out the announcement, I think there may be advertisement, where FEMA came around and said anyone who has debris on their property, they are now allowed to come on and remove that debris from your property. So if there's some homeowners that we know of we can get in touch with from the storm, they can go in and help get some of that debris off their private
And
property.
this is in the ditch, you know that ditch down there, what, those things are in that ditch, big old piles. So who would get that? It's in the ditch, am I right?
Where the water leak was.
Yeah, when you had to go out and get, try to move those things to get that water in.
Okay,
It's
it's in the
on,
ditch.
Pear Street.
Pear Street,
It's in the ditch, that
We'll
big old
look at
huge
it.
pile is in the ditch.
and we'll possibly contact the parish to see if they can help us with cleaning our ditches.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
How long does a property sit before the town takes it over?
Mr. Bruce,
What was the question?
how long does a property sit before the town is allowed to take it over?
We can't take it over. We can't just say, well, that's ours. We have got to go through a process of doing whatever needs to be done to it, if it's unmanageable or if it's abandoned and fallen down, then we can get a judgment against the people for the money that we have spent on it, and then we can enforce that judgment by taking the house in. That's a lengthy process.
And taxes too, right? The
Say again?
tax on it, taxes,
I'm sorry?
taxes, the tax.
I mean, if they don't pay taxes, we can take it over that way, yes.
Is there any?
And we have taken several over that way. I mean, library's sitting on 3 or 4 pieces that we took over that way.
Well, I acquired to buy a house right next door to me, and it's got like 11 different liens on that house. So that house will never be sold. You got this person paying this person paying that, and I went down to the sheriff department, you know, and she emailed me everybody. I made 2 phone calls, and they both wanted a ridiculous price to buy them out. But that house is still bringing my value down, and you know, it's both houses really. The tree that fell on the next house right next door to it. So, you know, if I kind of feel, well, I don't know how anybody else, but I would love to have that property and that house, but you know, I can't just sit and keep twiddling my thumbs and not getting anywhere.
A lot of these properties, it seems like it's been the same story for the past 25 years. And what we have in here, I'm looking at it, Section 10, 190, recommendation for the removal or condemnation of properties, needs to come before the board, us, from a building structure officer to certify the condemnation or destruction of the building once it's been deemed a hazard. Now, every time somebody comes to the council meetings and complains about property or a house that's got its roof falling in, trees growing through it, I always say we have this document, Fight the Blight. We got this in 2020, January of 2020. Since then, I've been harping on us doing a special meeting to go through and see what we can use from this. I know that Mr. Hayes did a meeting, like 3 months ago at the Rotary meeting room, talking about ways that we can revitalize the town. Maybe get control on some of these properties that are blighted, either through some sort of fees, some sort of penalty. Make it too expensive for these people to bring down our property values in town. And Ms. Gordon, I looked at your letter, and some of these houses here aren't even really owned by people. They're owned by holdings companies. These holdings companies are killing our towns. RJB Properties LLC from Sorrento, Louisiana. Puntum Properties Incorporated from New Orleans, Louisiana. If they want to make these LLCs and corporations to try and hide from their neighbors, we should do something to get on top of this and make it too expensive for them to have an old house that they never intend to live in. So will we set a day where we can go through this document? And I mean, it's not a novel, it's 25 pages, to see what we can use from this to finally enter the 21st century, because it's been a problem since the 90s.
Because they are abandoned, you know. It's not like
It's super abandoned.
Checks on them, you know, they are abandoned. We have people come in and squat in both places, you know,
Yeah.
and I run them off. But you know, that's safety of my family as well as my neighbors, you know. So.
I mean, the property you're saying is literally a block from here.
Yeah, 2 right side by side. Yes.
What date would you like to meet?
I'm free literally any day. Pick one.
Pick a date. I'm not gonna pick it. I need you, I'm available.
Let's see. Let's do June 8th, Wednesday.
June 8th, and we're gonna do it at a regular 6 o'clock meeting?
Yep.
Okay,
I won't be able to be here June 8th.
June
Oh,
8th.
man.
June 8th is on the what?
That's a Wednesday.
No, a Wednesday is bad for me.
I didn't want to pick the 9th because of that other meeting for the sewer thing that we have.
Can we do it the
That's-
following week?
We can do it the following week.
I'm on
Okay.
vacation next week,
Oh,
a real
okay.
vacation.
And you're saying Wednesdays is bad for you, Mr. Quinn?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Is it gonna be public or closed?
It'll be fun.
I won't be here. I'll be out of town. My daughter graduates.
It's 13th.
Hmm? You put about 5.
You wanna
I
say
was
the
able to find 4.
16th?
Okay.
16th of June?
A Thursday, 16th.
16.
June 16th?
What day is that?
Any
That's
day-
a Thursday.
Any day but Wednesday.
What day?
June 16th, 6 o'clock.
1-6?
Yes.
Okay, I can do that.
16th.
If it doesn't work, somebody.
If you're having any discrepancies, let me know. And
I'll double check because I was certain about the next week, but I'll let you know.
I mean, somebody else can always do it if I'm not here and record it, and I can make any
Mayor.
notes that I need.
Got a question.
So Mayor, is that an open meeting or? a closed
Yes, that'll be an open meeting.
June, what day, June?
Right
June
now,
16th.
right now it's June 16th. That might be subject to change though. If it is, I'll make sure to let everyone know.
Okay,
What
let-
about, are you talking about properties that also includes the vacant lots? Because
That's all.
in front of our house on, 7th Street, Avenue H, there sits the Dollar Store, Family Dollar,
Mhm.
and there's a vacant lot right beside it that is overgrown. Also, the canal that runs behind that goes through, it's grown up so much that sooner or later the water, when it rains, is gonna quit flowing. It's gonna just,
It already has in some places.
thank you.
Also, this trash buggy's got some stopped up about in the corner behind the Family Dollar, two ways is blocked off with the buggies from the dollar store. People shove them off down in that canal. The one's got about 3 buggies in it, and I think the other way's got 2 buggies in it.
Mr. Russ, can you talk to the drainage board, see when they're gonna come?
It wouldn't take that much to get them out, just a chain and some truck or tractor or something to pull them out of there. Just shopping buggies, but they never rot or nothing, I mean, they just clog up with, debris.
Next item?
Approve emergency cemetery plot for Nell W. Davis, 22156 State Line Road, Kentwood.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Hookfin, second by Councilman Callahan to approve the emergency cemetery plot for Ms. Nell Davis. Any questions? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 9, approve cemetery plot for James E. Davis, 22156 State Line Road, Kentwood.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Been moved by Councilman Hookfin, second by Councilwoman Winters to approve the cemetery plot for Mr. James Davis. Any questions? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Nikki Carrier to promote the rock garden within the town of Kentwood and its establishments.
I don't know if most of y'all heard, but there's a lot of excitement and a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of positivity in Kentwood lately. So much so that people are reaching out to me with different ideas and they're excited about different things to come. Yeah, we have the blight problem that we were talking about, but on the flip side of that, we need to keep our town looking good. So someone had presented me with a rock garden, which is pretty neat idea. I'm gonna let you look at it on my phone so you can see the flowers in the background, you see how pretty it's all decorated. And of course, we all can see as well. Okay. So the idea behind this is that have y'all ever seen like these little painted rocks that are being left around town?
Mhm.
Yes, this is exactly right. So on the back of them, you'll have like a little inspiration. I'm sorry, I'm talking to everybody.
No problem.
Little inspirations. Mine that I found, it says make a difference in the world. So it's pretty, you could either take one from the rock garden as inspiration, you could share it for motivation, or you can pick up a rock and paint it yourself and bring it back to the garden and leave it there. The idea was the new library is coming to town. Don't know how much room they may have over there that could accommodate this, but find a central spot to accommodate everybody that's easy access to get to. Even if we put it out front, that's central, it's easy to get to. Summer's coming up, kids need a lot of activities to do. The library's usually doing summer programs anyway, so you can get kids to paint their rocks. Daycare, the daycare centers in Kentwood, we have 2 daycare centers. They have little kids that are always doing activities. They can paint their rocks, and the senior citizens at Council on Aging could also get a part of this too as well with their crafts. But I don't know if this would be possible, if we could do it or not, but it would be a great idea to have it because there's no other town that has this. If we have it and we can bring it back, it would be a lot of fun for people to
rocks and put them out there. Yeah, that's what we do. Yes.
So it's just like a collection of painted rocks and different
That's
things, things
correct.
like that. Okay.
As you see, they'll have regular rocks,
Mhm.
and you can pick a rock and you can paint it, and you come back and you lay it down. Where's my phone? It's cut off here. Let me show you. But look, you see as it goes?
Oh, that's pretty cute.
Yeah, and then they made a flower. They painted a flower out of the rocks.
Okay. When I first saw rock garden, I was thinking like when people plant succulents and stuff like that.
No.
But that's mostly like a community
Yeah,
thing.
like the little rocks that you find. Like
How
this
big?
one.
How big will it be? The area where
It
it's
doesn't really
planted?
have to be that big, but it does have to be attractive. You know, as far as like you see how they have their flowers around it and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it doesn't have to be that big, but it does have to be attractive.
Okay.
And have their little sign. And of course, the slogan that I would like to go with is paint the town with kindness. Yeah.
In that case, I think a good place to put that might be the end of the road on Main Street where there used to be a crossover going to the co-op. I think at the beginning it was said that the railroad organization, whoever they are, were going to make it some sort of roundabout cul-de-sac thing that would end the street in a nicer way than just a bar cut off. So maybe that could be something that we could sort of redo that with, get with the new owners of the brick company, make some sort of semicircle to put this in.
And it's close enough to the library too.
They'll be at the like they can stop at B&D Salvage. Bet they'll love that.
That's the whole purpose. We want Main Street to be
In
busy,
front
so
of
Yeah.
there you go.
in front of the community center in one of those flower beds,
Yeah, we could do that too.
sits by the park and all that.
We could do that too. That'd be a good idea. But yeah, that's all. Good idea.
Thank you.
Seems like a good idea.
Item number 11.
George Hayes to talk on the farmer's market.
Thank you for letting me have the time tonight, Mayor and Council. Now, I'll be brief. I just wanted to give you an update on the farmer's market we had a couple weeks ago, or a couple Saturdays ago. You know, everybody says a little prayer that something's gonna be successful. This was overwhelmingly successful. I don't know, I know these two people were two of our vendors, and, you know, maybe they could share a little bit with you, but it was great. I mean, for the very first time out of the gates, it was wonderful, it was well attended, we were blessed with ridiculously good weather that day. Most of the vendors sold out long before our 3 o'clock deadline. I mean, I think we shut down at like 12:30 or 1 o'clock. It was fantastic for everybody that went. Thank you for coming. If you didn't get to go, you're in luck, because we're going to have another one on June the 18th, which is 2 weeks from tomorrow. And we're not gonna do this every 2 weeks or something like that, but we do wanna keep the momentum going. I don't know how many of you have Facebook, I don't know how many of you follow Nikki's Keeping Up with Kentwood or Antoinette's Friends of Kentwood, but pictures, fantastic pictures were posted, and the comment section was just overwhelmingly wonderful. So even the people that didn't go, when they just saw the wonderful energy and enthusiasm, they posted things like, "We're so proud, we're so happy," and everything else. So the whole point of this is to let you know about the new one coming up, to thank this town for the help that it gave us in putting this first one on. Nikki was ridiculously helpful, and we are going to kind of put our heads together and tweak the things that we can do better and make it a little bit better. Like, we're gonna change the hours. This was only gonna be from 8 to 12. And one of the big feedbacks that we had was that a lot of people would have come, but they didn't know about it. I don't know how they couldn't have, but if you know of anybody who you think might be interested in coming, please tell them that we're gonna do it on the 18th. This time we're gonna have flyers. I'm gonna put them everywhere that we can possibly get them. I mean, people in the meet who can travel, and people from Macomb and Tylertown who travel. You know, we're gonna try to get the word out there as well. So if you can think of a way to help get the word out, that would be helpful to us. So we're gonna, once again, post it all over every place that we can. Michelle Anthony was kind enough to put it on the town's website. A lot of the ladies that work in the office shared it. And if you get an opportunity to share it, that was one of the main items of feedback. A lot more people would have been there, but they didn't know about it being there. But I don't wanna keep you long, and everybody wants to go home. Thank you for doing it. I can't begin to tell you what the return was on that minor investment. It was fantastic.
Of course.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I have a suggestion, as far as doing the flyers, do banners, you know, like when you go to a meeting, Mr. Orchard Festival or whatever, they have banners up, above the red lights, whatever, or you could do the banners that we've had before out here by BP, you know, stick them up there. You know, this is our town, people are coming, we need to be excited about it too, so decorate it with banners, have it all over.
I'm
It
with
was a huge deal, I was amazed, and George enjoyed the applause because, you know, George is footing the bill on the insurance for this. And, you know, I am a little worried because I don't know how long we can continue to do that, you know? But it's huge and the feedback that we're getting is amazing. And I would like to see it continue.
Well, some of the ideas that came up, a lot of the vendors that had the produce, and let me just tell you about that for a second. We were supposed to have more farmers than we actually had. And the only reason they didn't come was because their produce wasn't quite ready. It was still a little early in the season, and so it's going to get better and better and better as we go, as people come in. But one of the problems that they had was they ran out of bags. And so we had like the grocery store plastic bags, and Susan brought a bunch of them, and we gave them out and that kind of stuff. What we're looking at, trying to do, this was really actually Ronnie Harrell's suggestion, is get these little bags printed up that just say, you know, Main Street Market, or something like that. And Amanda Bracy had done them, and Walgreens printed them up for not that much. I mean, and so the idea is we'll probably go to that in the future. So if you come, you know, you pay $1 and you get your little bag, and you take your little bag around and you put your tomatoes in it, or your potatoes, or you go and you get your pastries, or you do whatever you have. The fantastic things that were out there, I mean, some of them were truly delectable. I'm trying to get my weight down, or else I would have bought everybody out. But thank you. Come again on the 18th. Tell everybody you know and get the word out.
Thank you.
There was a few vendors that I deal with that was there, and they had the same comment, you know, saying that a lot of their produce wasn't ready, you know, and they was wondering why it couldn't be, you know, every weekend, you know, because produce keep coming. You don't just pull one weekend and you got 3-4 weeks for it coming. You know, they were saying that in the middle of you know, the Saturday market, you know, after it was over, like, when was the next one gonna be, and how could they, you know, sell it properly?
Well, and so what we're gonna have to do is, and I talked with Craig Coleman today, who's the head of the Tri-Parish Farmers Group and that kind of stuff. And they want to do it every week too.
Right.
I'm just gonna be really honest with you. It's an incredible amount of work to get it done, and the insurance is incredibly expensive. And so we have to find a way to lower the insurance costs. We have to find a way to defray some of that as best we possibly can. But one thing that I didn't want to do was come and try to put a financial burden on the town.
Right.
So I talked to Craig and I said, we're not gonna be able to do it every week. But in Mount Hermon this Saturday, they have theirs. Franklinton has theirs. Amite has one as well. I mean, so what I suggested to him is if Mount Hermon does theirs every first Saturday, and if we were to adopt a permanent every third Saturday, that's every other week.
Right.
And if they can fill in with Franklinton or Tylertown or Macomb or something like that, then hopefully they have a place where they can put their produce out every week. And the good news is they're hitting different customers in every place.
Right.
And so they're spreading their seeds, as we say, okay? And so we're gonna work on it as best we can, and we're gonna try to do a lot of other community events as well. But it was a lot of work, and I think that it paid off 100-fold. But if you can pass along to the people that you're talking about, we're gonna try to get them a venue as much as we can. We may not be the venue, but we'll work with them. So I talked with Ms. Williamson, who runs the one in Mount Hermon. I talked with her yesterday. And I'm gonna go over tomorrow morning and talk to her again.
Okay.
And I understand that Mount Hermon is a smaller little group and they don't have as many people, but if we can get the word out, okay, Mount Herman is the first Saturday,
Right,
we're the
second
third,
Saturday, yeah.
you know, and everything like that, then the people that have their stuff can sell it, and everybody can have a good time, and we can all be a circle of life.
Yes, understood.
Mr. Russ, any updates from the maintenance, area?
Well, our, boom cutter, we, did get it back running, but we got one more little issue with it. And, as far as that, I mean, we're staying on with everything as far as water leaks. I mean, there's summertime, so they're gonna be popping up more, but, we'll stay on.
Mr. Russ, Mayor, I know, when Keith was here, that's the boom cutter he was running. Can we partner until we get that with the parish to, see if they'll come in and cut our, streets for us? Now, on 13th Street, I think Tibbetts can take that, lawnmower and go down our sidewalks because they're extremely high.
Tractor doing a lot of.
Okay.
Yeah, but he can do something.
Yeah, cause it wouldn't take nothing for that zero turn to go straight down.
Mhm.
And Mr. Charles's group is also the ones who was fixing our,
Yeah,
boom
they
cutter.
fixed it, and they did do some bush hogging parts, but they came cut around the school.
Right.
Okay.
Did all that for graduation.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Susan?
I would like to respectfully request that the people who mow on the zero turn thing, I know a tractor doesn't have as much directional capabilities, please mow the first two cuts that face the road into the lots. The children are crazy on their bikes, it's summer, and if you hit that grass after it's just been cut, I've seen them fall down by the maintenance building right there by my corner. I have seen them hit that and fall. And it doesn't look nice, so I've taken my blower and I go blow it all back in the yard now. So if they would please, it doesn't take any extra time, just two cuts in. Also the ones that they do around here on 38.
It also clogs the drains.
Yes, it does.
Gotta take off motorcycle riders too.
Mm-hmm.
Inconvenient if it gets wet too.
Can I?
Yes.
Russ forgot to mention that we've had a gas,
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
audit for the last 2 days, and we did very well on the portion that we had for the last 2 days.
And last notes, City Hall will be closed Monday, June 20th, in observance of Juneteenth Day. And will also be closed Monday, July the 4th, in observance of 4th of July. Nothing else claims our attention. Meeting adjourned.